love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always
Namaste friends. In today's lecture we'll be seeing about Python. Last time we actually saw about Python and we actually went up to variables, and we also saw that variables are case sensitive. So in this lecture, I've also said this in the agenda, we'll be looking into Python, we'll be looking into the data types, the maximum data types available, and how we can actually identify the data types, and what is a string, and how we can actually replace the string, how we can actually slice the string. Okay, these things will actually come in fruitful when you're actually doing the real Python programming. There'll be some subtle differences, you just need to be watch out for the same. And programming can be fun. So having said that, kindly join me in this lecture, Python Learning Series 2, and let's take a deep dive. Namaste friends. So in today's lecture, we'll be seeing the following in Python programming. So remember in last lecture what we saw about why Python is so important, and we actually stopped by telling what is a variable, and the variables are case sensitive. Okay, so if you guys have not seen, I would actually strongly encourage you to go and look into my first lecture, so that there is a you can actually follow it accordingly. Again, my style is for the non-technical people. For the technical people who are already computer geeks or gurus, or who are actually conversant with computers or some kind of programming, this might not add so much of value till we actually go so steep into the lectures, which will be coming in in a lecture or two. Okay, but today's agenda is what is a Python data type, what are numbers, what is a casting, how we can actually do casting, what is a string, and how we can actually modify the string, and needless to say, my contact information. All right, so let's actually take this. When you say what is the data types is, we actually have everything is a data, right? You write something on a piece of paper, it's data. The video is a data. So you can actually see the entire world as a data. Okay, every moving thing is a data, which actually move everything is a data, which you can actually store as a data. Okay, so the data, different types of data types is, if you actually store it as a text, say suppose I'm actually typing, this is typing, and I actually said this is a string, it's called string. There are numeric types, which is integer, float, and complex. So we will see what is the difference between them. There are some sequence. The sequence is list, you actually put it in a list, you actually put in a tuple, you actually put in a range. Okay, and then you actually have something called as a mapping, which is a dictionary. A dictionary is what? Now say suppose a dictionary is like a, you actually go and find the meaning of a word, right? So that is a dictionary, right? So in a dictionary you actually tend to find something. You have a set type, which is set and frozen. You have a boolean type. You have binary types, okay, which is a bytes, byte array, memory view, and there is also none. There is absolutely no data type only. All right. Why is so much of things are different in a data? See, right now we don't know anything about programming. We are just starting. Okay, so all we know is text, mathematics. Okay, like 4.5 or 4. Something, or 4.53, only these numbers that we know. We are not aware of many other things. But as we get into more and more of data, when we actually start taking data and do some programming, most of the data types that you actually see here is going to be constant, and you may be using. Maybe there might be some exceptions of the set types, where you may not use it quite often, but I can be wrong. But again, it is going to be an interesting thing to go through, and let's actually start the journey. You can always contact me here, but let's not worry about it. Having said that, let me actually jump into the Jupyter notebooks, which I've already already I showed you in the first lecture. Now let's actually take for an example, okay, the very first thing, which is a data type. Okay, now what I'm going to say is, I'm going to define this variable x equals 3. Okay, this is a variable, right, that we actually defined, right? Now what I'm going to say is print, I want to know the type of this x. Okay, this type of this x, and then this is how everything goes. Now I want to run this. Let's see. It is an integer. Why it is an integer? Because it is 3.0, so that is an integer. So it says class int. Okay, and this is what we actually saw in the PowerPoint. Now let's actually try a bunch of things, so that we are actually familiar of each and everything. What I'm going to say here is x equals hello present in. Okay, Does not matter whether it's a single quotes or double quotes, or just let's actually try it. I'm sorry, it's my mistake here. What I should have actually done is x equals hello, press in, and I should actually say print the type of x. Let's see, it's a string. Okay, so it is actually giving me a string. So we actually covered two data types. Okay, now let's actually go more. What I'm going to say here is, let me actually take the liberty. We actually took this x equals 3, we found it as an integer. Now what I will say is x equals, and this is what I was actually telling, 3.5. Now what I will say is print type x. Now let's actually see this. It's a float. Anything which is actually coming like this is a float. Okay, now let's actually go a little bit further as well. X equals, now say 3j. Okay, now I say print type of x. Okay, it's a complex, because during our initial schools we have actually seen imaginary numbers and complex numbers, so this is a complex number. Now let's actually go forward and let's actually see. Now x equals, what I'm going to say here is, I'm going to say apple, apple, and I'm going to say I like mangoes, and I'm going to say pomegranate. So one thing, understand my friends, when you want to say like, hey, when you actually say like, what is this guy's type, is he like good, is he like tricky, is he like someone like I can trust, we always say type, right? So that is exactly what we say here also, print type. So it is something very easy, right? So now I say print type x. Okay, so let's see what comes out. It is called as a list. I'm actually listing something. Okay, so you guys actually saw that. Now let's actually take the same thing. Okay, I'm going to take the same thing, but I'm going to make it slightly interesting for you guys. Okay, just give me a second. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the same thing. So this is for informative purposes, right? Instead of this thing, I'm going to say a parenthesis. Okay, so instead of the square brackets, I'm going to put it like this. Now I just want you to see the difference here. It's called a tuple. What magic happened? I mean, this square parenthesis gave me a list, whereas this thing gave me a tuple. So the tuple is basically anything with a 3. So what I'm actually trying to say here is, be aware, because you might not know what you're doing, and you might actually put something, so that might not be good. So tuple will be considered as a list, and a list will be considered as a tuple. So these are fun while coding. So I'm just letting you know what is what. Now let's also take something here. X equals a range of 3. They say like, do you know my range and stuff of that nature, right? So let's say print type x. It's called a range. All right, now let's actually come to something which is quite interesting. Okay, we are getting more and more of less and less. All right, so I'm going to put a curly brackets. Okay, this is called curly brackets, and what I'm going to say is name. Okay, and the name I'm going to say is my name. Okay, which is present in, and I'm going to say comma age. I need to actually put this in this thing, and I'm going to say age is 44. Now I'm going to say print type of x. Let us see what is actually happening here. It's called a dictionary. What is a dictionary? A dictionary is a place like where you can actually, as I told you before, you go and look up, right? You look up for something, right? That's a dictionary, right? And that is exactly what I did, and this is what the dictionary gave. All right, so this is called a dictionary. and then we also have, there is also another one called a set. So remember, we did a square bracket and we did this bracket, and let's actually go and let's see what else bracket is there. Okay, now I did a square bracket, I did this normal parenthesis. Now let me do a curly bracket. Now if I do a curly bracket, what is going to happen here? It's called a set. See the subtle difference here, friends? Okay, just with the brackets only, see how the data types are actually changing. It is interesting, right? So just want you to be aware of the same. Now having said that, let's actually go for something called, as we also saw, what a frozen set is, right? So let's actually take the same thing. As I said, like, I don't know where the frozen set will come in, but let's be aware of the same. So what I'm going to say is frozen set. I'm going to open this thing, I'm going to close the thing, and then I'm going to say print type of X, and then I'm going to say this. It's called a frozen set. So the frozen set may be like you cannot change anything inside the frozen set, okay, but we will actually cover when it actually comes, which means like you can't make any kind of modifications, kind of frozen. Okay, so for that it is a parenthesis and this curly curly this thing. Okay, the curly brackets come for sets. All right, now let's actually go for something called as a boolean. Okay, so the boolean is true or false, right? Now I say it is true. Okay, and then I say print me type of X. Okay, so let's actually see this. So it's a boolean. Very nice. So far it's looking boom 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 and everything is good, right? So we have few things to cover. So what I'll say is X equals byte array of 5. Okay, and let's see print type of X. Now let's see what is this. It's a byte array. Very nice. Now let's actually see X equals B and hey. Now let's actually say print type of X. Now if I actually run this, it's a byte. Now we also covered something called as a memory view. So let's actually see memory view, and I would say bytes of, how about 3, and then I would say print type X. Let's actually see this memory view. We also said there is going to be something called as a none, right? Let's say none. Okay, and let's say print type X. It is none type. Okay, which means it does not have anything, whether it is an integer, float, does not have any of these things, so it's called a none. So in the 16 commands, what we actually saw was the entire different sets of the data types available. All right, I would actually strongly encourage you to actually go and look into this time and again, so that like you guys are not you guys are clear, and you actually write off any kind of confusion or doubt, and if you have any, you can always reach me. All right, now coming into the numbers, this is the beauty of it. We already covered the numbers. Okay, what are the numbers that we saw? Let me actually show you something here. We actually saw float, we actually saw an integer, and we also saw something as a complex. Where is the complex here? Remember the J kind of a thing? Yeah, the complex is here. So what I'm going to do is, these are the numbers. Okay, this is the only thing in the number. All right, so this is the only thing in the number and nothing else more. All right, so this is the only thing. Now let's actually take this and let's actually see this. Okay, now say suppose if I actually take this, or I actually copy this and I say this is 5, and if I just want here and want to run this, it is an integer. Okay, now as I said, there are only 3 kinds of numbers. Okay, and you can actually try this or whenever you have your time, and I say 0.7, and when I actually do this, this is a float. Now let's actually take this and make it a little bit more interesting. I say J. Okay, let's see what actually comes here. complex, because anything which I actually added as JS, has actually taken this as a complex. So these are the only 3 things which is actually available as a number. Okay, so when we cover the 16 types of data types, we also covered the numbers. This is a beauty. Once you learn, it saves forever. Okay, so having said that, what I said was we'll actually go into the casting. So the casting, and then we'll actually see what is what here. Now before casting, so what is a casting? What is a cast? If you want to say in a lay terms, you actually cast an actor, right? So the actor is casted to do a particular role, like either a hero or a villain, or a ladies to play the like a mother or a heroine, or a villi, or like the main person behind it, or a director. We actually get casted, okay, into do a particular role. Sometimes when the bone is broken, we also say casting. I'm not sure how many persons have actually heard it, but sometimes it is there. So it is basically you cast it to be a particular type, right? So that is exactly what we are going to be saying this. Here what I'm going to say is x equals, I'm going to say int of 1, which means I'm actually casting it as 1. Okay, so now when I say print type of x, I've already casted it. I've already casted it to be an integer. So okay, there is an unexpected error because indentation, because I did not add this. Okay, because this is important, right? Remember, even last time I told you. So this is an invalid syntax for an integer. No worries. I will actually backtrack this. But basically, when you say x equals int of 1, okay, this is going to be 1. So let me actually show you something here. Before I go, before I move, I want to show you a few other things here. X equals, when I say x is equal to int of 1, and when I say x equals float of 1, this will actually be 1.0. okay, x will be 1.0. Let me show you something. So in this case, the only mistake that I actually did was it is not a type because I've already casted. Okay, again, this is a good learning, right? So I say print x. So let's see what is actually happening here. All right, let's actually go here. I'll surely come to that. Okay, so print x. Okay, let's say print x here, and let's see this. See, it is 1.0. Now let's actually go to the previous one, which is always giving me some problem. Int of 1. Now I say print x. Now let's see. See, it is 1. So why did it give me a problem here? Because I actually, the print x is in a wrong place. I should have actually done it here. Okay, so this is how you guys should actually play with it. Had I had an indentation, then it could have actually come over next to the below the I, but not right now. Okay, so, and let's also go forward. It's the same thing. Now when I say x equals string of, say, present in, and then when I say print x, it's going to give me present in as it is. This is the way we actually cast. Okay, and you can actually try this. If you just specify the thing before here, it is casted, as compared to not specifying here. Okay, here we do not specify. It can be a float or it can be an integer, but here I just specified it. Okay, so that is the difference. Okay, and the one on the right hand side gets modified accordingly. Now having said that, let's actually move to something called as a string. Okay, string we all know. Okay, string is basically the text, right? So the text is a string, right? So what all did we say we are going to see in the string today? We are going to see strings, and we are going to be seeing how to slice a string, and then we'll get more into the next lectures. Or did I actually miss anything from the agenda? Just let me check. Yeah, modify strings as well. So modify strings as well. So just give me a second. So having said that, let's actually go and actually check this out. So when I say print and hello Prasannan. This is going to give me hello Prasannan. Okay, this is a string. All right. So if I actually assign something here, now say suppose a equals hello Prasannan, and then I say print a, and then I actually run this, it is going to give me this thing. The only thing is this hello Prasannan, this I assigned it to this variable a, and I'm actually printing it. All right, so this is the way the strings are there. Okay, I can also make something slightly interesting for you before we get into big. When I say hello Prasannan, and I'm going to make it something interesting for you, I'm going to say print a in this square bracket of 1. Okay, and let's see what is happening. See, it only gave me e. So basically the very first one is 0, it is 1, it actually goes from here. The reason why I actually gave you this is in order to see how slicing works. Okay, because the next thing we are going to go is a slicing. So in the slicing, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take the same thing, a equals hello Prasannan. Okay, and what I'm going to say is print my a, and when you want to slice something, I want to say give me from say suppose 1 2 3 4 5 0 to 5. Okay, let's see what it returns. It gives me hello. Now if I take this and when I say give me from 2 to 5, it gives me low. Now when I say give me from 1 to 5, it gives me yellow. Now this space is also taken into consideration. Now when I say give me from up to 8, and when I actually run this, it gives me yellow PR because this is 0 1 2 3 4 5, okay, 6 7 8. So there are 2 spaces here. So that is how it is actually taking. See the 2 spaces, there is not 1 space. So this is how you actually slice a string, and this slicing is actually important when you want to actually only take a particular number. Okay, and let's actually make it even more interesting. And the even more interesting is we can also do a reverse. Okay, what I will do is -5 to -2, and let's see how it actually works. ANN. So that ANN is basically, it is only this ANN. So this -5 is basically like, he has actually like, the position of the word is, is actually coming from the behind. So that is why this, -5 is actually happening. Okay. So before going to this, before making this a little bit complex, let's actually take it simple so that you know how it actually works. So if I say -5, okay, and let's actually run this, it's given me a. So what is it? 1 2 3 4 5. So which means I've taken this a. So in this -5, when I actually taken this a, 1 and 2, so that is why that an has actually come. So if I want an n, so 1 2 3 4, right? So let's actually try this. But Kofi Annan, have you guys, just for telling the thing, an came, a came. So let's actually try whether an will come. It's giving me 4. Super. So what is it? It has given me -5 1 2 3 4 5. This is the AND, right? So, and -4 here. So it's giving me a. So the a, I'm pretty sure like it is this a. So let's actually take a little bit forward and let's actually see how it is actually coming in. Okay, so just give me a second. Maybe that -2 here, okay, and has actually gone here. Okay, so let's actually try this. And up. Okay, so basically that -5, we know it actually starts here. 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, it starts here, and then it is actually stopping up to here, which is -1. So let's actually do this. So friends, let's actually see this. What is this modifying the string is? Okay, so the modifying the string is, let's actually take this same thing, hello president. Okay, and then what I actually say here is print, I say a dot upper, and then open and close parenthesis, and I'm going to run it. See, the entire thing got changed to all caps. Okay, so upper is all caps, lower is low caps. So I can also give another example. Print this thing, hello president, and then I say print a dot lower, and let's see what is going to happen here. This is actually given me hello president in the lower case. Okay, and sometimes what will happen is there'll be some white spaces here, and the white spaces is basically, if I say it's equal to hello president, and what I actually do is print a dot strip. If I actually do this, and if I actually say this, let's actually see the white spaces has been removed. And I can also do some magic here, and the magic here is, if I say hello president, and what I say here is print me a dot replace this h, okay, with since my wife is Jayashree, I'll say J. Okay, so let's actually see what is actually happening here. Now it becomes Jello president. Okay, now if you want to split the word, there is also a way that you can actually split the word, which is splitting the string. So let's actually see this. Now a equals hello president. Now what I say here is print a dot split, and I say this thing, and I want to split it as like this. Now let's see what is actually happening. It's giving me hello space president, okay, inside this parenthesis. All right. Let's actually try one more thing. If I actually say, and I actually put this thing, okay, and then I say comma, okay, just for fun, okay, just for fun. Let's see whether it even works. It did not work, but that is okay. Let's actually see whether this thing works. Same thing, okay, it is just like, it actually gave this extra space. So that is all it is. All right, so I think we have actually covered the portion for today. So thank you. Namaste friends, I trust you would have actually enjoyed my lecture. We almost covered some 38 commands, and I think it's slightly too much for today. So just go, understand, practice, and practice. That's okay to fail many times. We'll start running up one time. And we actually saw about the strings, we actually saw about the data types, we saw about the numbers. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Add me in LinkedIn. Feel free to contact me. I'll be very happy to be of any help to you. And like always, I want to thank you for giving me your valuable time. And I want to thank my wife Jayashree, for allowing me to follow my passion. So without which nothing could be done. Thank you. Till we see next time. Thank you. Take care. Cheers.